is here. Today's live as usual because it's a weekday and we are going to explore the story. Yesterday it was it's supposed to be to explore the story, but we digress and because I had a question for Syl and I asked him, and then so many other things came into discussion, which is always, even though they might seem like on surface that they are not connected, but it is always a connection somewhere, even the most random things coming into our conversation. Not me and Syl only, but of course from everyone, from comments, from everywhere. So there is always a connection to that. There is a reason behind that, that seemingly random things are coming or topics are coming, but there is always a reason for that. And so most of the time it happens that at the end, we understand that, oh, so that's why it was there. And it brings out more and more and more. And this is what happened yesterday. I had a question and then Syl share a lot about that topic, which is actually, I asked that question not because that it was any stressful situation for me, but I just want to be more solid in my thinking and perception that whatever I was doing was deliberate, and whatever the things are coming, yes, some minor trivial things which were like, okay, I was not expecting that, or but again, those all were expectations, not the actual fact or reality, or I was not letting anything just be. So expectations, they are not bad, but they have to be very, very clearly thought about. So I was thinking
very
about my
important. Very
expectations.
important.
Yes, so that's why that becomes a pressing issue for me. And then I asked, and I got so much more out of it. Again, I was sharing with Syl that, okay, yes, this is something why I have to take responsibility. Like there is one of the aspect of that answer, what Syl actually provided, that, okay, you need to trust. One of the aspect was to preempt about situation. And I was not willing to do that because it's less energy efficient. I have to put my energy into this, like go really out of my way and say things which are not needed, which are not necessary. I had nothing to do with that, but just to preempt. And that was my concern, that why I have to do this. It is not my responsibility. I haven't done anything, so why I have to go and clear up all this. And Syl's argument was, counter argument for that it is not about anyone else. It is about you and your own perception. And the way you do things, this needs to be projected as you are doing. Not like something get bundled in between the communication because of communication. And because I was tired, I was in low energy, so I was not willing to compromise. I said, nah, come on,
I'm
no,
a bit grumpy. I'm a bit
I'm not going
grumpy.
I'm not going to do this. And the more he was trying to explain, the more I was like, okay, you are now focusing on that, and you are putting unnecessary attention to this. But actually, it was not necessary or unwanted. Uh, but when we are in low energy,
correct.
Everything get magnified other than us.
Yes.
We become shorter, so things in comparison, by implication, everything becomes big.
I'm going to pause 1 second, Beena. So say hello to
Yes.
Norma. Hello, wonderful Norma. Hello,
Oh, yeah.
wonderful Norma. Hello, wonderful Norma.
Yes.
It's love that you're here. Love that you're here.
Yes.
Please keep going,
So
Beena. Please
what
keep going.
I was saying, that I realized that when we are in low energy, everything by implication, everything becomes bigger. It gets magnified. Not because they are actually magnified, they still the same, but because
Artificially
we feel
magnified.
low, we feel less. So in comparison, things looks
magnified. Listen to what Beena says. It's not that the things get magnified in themselves, but because our low energy makes us less and smaller, the things look bigger by comparison. comparison, they're relatively bigger because our energy has made us smaller. Very interesting point, Beena. Very
Yes.
interesting point. Wow.
So this is
Very
what was
interesting.
happening, that okay, I was
Yeah,
in low in
yeah,
energy, and when Syl just made his point, and he says that okay, it is to preempt, it is good to preempt and clear up things. And I was not in that mindset. I was not in that energy, and because I was like, okay, again, it is my duty. It's not my duty. I'm not going to do this. So I was struggling with this idea, and just
yeah,
because of my low energy, everything, whatever he was sharing, was getting magnified. Like, okay, it is going to take
yeah.
too much energy and effort, and why I have to do this, and everything was getting magnified, bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
A big issue.
yeah.
That was not fun, but that was, again, it was a good learning process. That what
Mm,
happens,
mm.
it is exactly like is now I am like a 5'4" height person, and if just to pretend that, or just you assume that suddenly I become like 2.5.
Oh, five
So
inches.
oh yeah, or 5 inches. So in my same bedroom, of course, and everything will remain same, but they
Mm,
will become horribly big for me.
yeah. You'll
And this
become
is what
Alice. You'll become Alice after drinking the potion.
so this is exactly what was
Wow.
happening with me. When we are low in energy, we actually shrink.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that shrinkage in our energy
Yeah.
makes everything other than us
We
in
shrink
one.
psychologically and
Yeah.
emotionally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and energetically. So uh,
Because we've
everything
shrunk
gets,
energetically. Right.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why everything else other than us, outside than
Yeah.
us, becomes so huge. Even a perception or a perspective, it
Mm,
becomes an ego
mm.
issue. Like, okay, no, I'm not going to do this, and all these things. This is what happens. Low energy, and then you get messed up.
Yeah.
Dehydration, you start losing your memories
Yes. Very
and
important to pay attention to
efforts,
dehydration.
and then oh my god, and then
Yeah.
master perception, master
Yeah.
perception.
Yeah. Especially now with
So
the heat,
it is just a recap of, yes. Just to recap that what was happening yesterday, why I asked that question and what happened after that. So low energy is a big, huge deal, as I always say that, okay, we have to pay attention to that. When we are in low energy, our perceptions can get muddled.
yeah.
Everything else can become a big issue. We can make things, okay, no, I need to edit my own sentence here. We don't make things bigger. They get bigger, they become bigger by implication,
Yes.
because of
Yes.
our listeners. So yes,
Yes.
because it's a
And
big,
by
big,
contrast,
huge,
not just the implication, but contrast also.
exactly, by contrast. So
Yeah.
thank you for saying this, by contrast, exactly. Uh, because when we say that, okay, it's not big, you are making this. It's a direct accusation, and nobody wants to actually get this responsibility, or being accused of, but they are not doing it intendedly. They are not doing it deliberately. So
Yeah.
of course, no matter what the other person is saying, it is going to be taken as an accusation. Like, okay, you are blaming me for something which I haven't done. That's why we need to remedy this sentence that, okay, things are not big, you are making it bigger. No, because of low energy right now, in this situation, the person that he or she, they feel that things are big, hard to resolve, difficult to understand, like compromising, like adjusting, like remedying things, like preempting, like taking things on a lighter note, just having this understanding of a good intent, having a trust in good intent. Everything becomes like really huge, hard to
Yeah.
accomplish, just because we in our own self become less because of lack of energy. That's why physical energy, mental, emotional energy, psychological, spiritual energies, energy management is the core for everything. For deliberate living, energy management is a huge deal. And this is something I was keen to share with everyone. And especially, I know that Norma, you are there, you are listening. but I was
But it's
keen to
sharing
share
it with
with
the
Syl also.
universe. It's
And
the
also I was
everyone is
keen
the
to share with
universe,
Syl.
right, Beena?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the moment I get back my energy, I got a good sleep, and I was like, okay, yeah, okay, not a big deal. So
Yeah.
let's move forward and do all those things. And on top of that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it was not my ego issue at all. If that would be, I would not share this. I would not say that, okay, this is something, yes, Syl, it was, I might try to create some excuses for that. Or maybe I just keep completely deep, open that whole situation and say that, okay, look, where I am wrong. But I didn't do that because I realized that, okay, now in that situation, things were not in reality, they were not big. They were trivial, usual, common thing. But because of my own lack of energy, by contrast, they become big. And I was taking them as something huge. So that was fun. And now I'm relaxed, I'm having fun, and this life is good. Life is literally good and easy. There was a Pakistani a scholar and a philosopher. Uh, Whenever he ended his sharings, because he used to have a program called Perspective. That was the name of that whole program, Perspective. At the end of the program, and whenever he meets someone or in any interviews, every time, whenever he ended something, he always say that, okay, I ask universe to make things easy for you and make you able to make things easier for others. And that was the patent thing for him. Now, so many people actually say that in Pakistan, that this is what they want to be. This is how people or human needs to be, to make their life easy and make others' life easy also. And I think that it's a good way of getting apart, saying that, okay, yes, may the life will be easy for you, and may the universe make you the source of or the reason for someone's life become easy. So this is what I was keen to share. It's a good thought. And I know that Syl is busy utilizing this time to texting, messaging, or taking care of whatever he is
We're
doing
going to
right now.
start in a second. Yes.
Yes,
I was
but
commenting to
this is
something yesterday. Yeah.
okay, no problem. So now, going back to Syl and Syl, will you please start sharing the
I
story?
shall. I shall. Somebody
Yes.
just commented like, oh, they were listening, but they kind of they don't want to be connected to politics. I think it was in yesterday or the day before's one, because I mentioned about Obama and then Reagan, right?
Oh, oh,
Two different, and I used them as examples of psychology. But they heard Obama and they heard Reagan and they said, oh, politics. I wasn't talking about politics. I even said so specifically. So I'm speaking to you, Christine, right? I'm responding to your comment. I mentioned it there. So we have to be careful to not assume, because what we do here is about alternative paradigms, especially here. One has to set aside assumptions. So when you hear Obama and Reagan, you can't just assume, oh, they're talking about politics. I wasn't. Absolutely not. And I even said so. But we have to be very careful to not let that affect us. Yeah. And not assume because you're hearing two political names, it's about politics. That's why I specifically even used Reagan as an example to contrast with Obama, so that it wouldn't be political, because they are at opposite ends of the political spectrum, right? It's just important. So please, for those coming and paying attention here, set aside your expectations. Don't assume what we're doing. Don't assume at all, because we're operating in a different paradigm. The assumptions are not valid here. They won't work here. Right? You have to listen to what is being said, not what you think is going to be said or what should be said when you hear key words. Like you hear Obama, you hear Reagan, oh, they're talking about politics. No, Wasn't talking about politics, right? So yeah, discernment needs to be applied. No assumptions, no expectations, right? Got to really set them aside, because you're going to be really surprised when you do set the, oh, wow, oh, now you go back and listen to what I was saying and using Obama as example. Wow, you're going to see it's all about psychology and a mindset, and it was an illustration of something that was in the story, right? About how it was an awareness of using strategy and technique, and there's a lot of things involved in that, and nothing to do with his politics. It was about how strategic he was and how he was able to project his intent, and it was an illustration of what Ursula was saying she had done. So, obviously her politics has got nothing to do with anybody else's. We have no idea what her politics are, right? She could be anywhere on the spectrum. All right, so that's just that important point, and I wanted to just clear up there, to be very, very clear about that, expectations and assumptions. No assumptions here, no assumptions, no assumptions. Because, and it's very important to actually deliberately make the effort to set aside how you hear, and don't assume that, like, why are we doing this? Most people come here and say, oh, like Norma yesterday was saying, do you want to continue? It's only me. Right? Most people will do the same thing. Why are they bothering? There's just one person. I don't care how many people. It can be nobody. We're going to be doing this. Beena and I are going to do this anyway. We do it live. Why? Because it gives us many reasons. I don't know. I'm not. I've repeated them many, many times. Not a single one of our reasons are any of the usual, typical reasons. We're not here for followers. We're not here for likes. We're not here for attention. We're not here to get people to buy stuff from us, like coaching, whatever, sell our services. We're not here to advertise ourselves. Not any one of the usual reasons apply. Now, I challenge those who listen to this and hear what I've just said. Put in there the reasons that you think I might be here. Maybe just add a question mark at the back, and I'll respond and see if you can guess why we are here. Give it a try. Give it a try. See if you can guess. See if you can guess. Yeah. I just love you, Beena, and love you, Norma, and I'm glad that we are here. Yes, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's very important, us being here. And we do this for our own joy and delight. And of course, it's a mechanism for practice, which is one that I haven't mentioned before as one of our reasons. Capital P, practice. Yes, Beena and I have these chats every single day, right? And we'd be going through this and doing this if we didn't do it live. The live actually makes it sort of that we do it, we don't get distracted by other things. So it makes us more focused. But it's capital P, practice, practice of exquisiteness of being, exquisiteness of expression, exquisiteness of thinking, exquisiteness of attention, etc., which is the purpose of this way in which the story is being presented in this context. Yes, it's a standalone story as a book, right? But it's also as a course, and it's a different thing as a course to the book. Same content, but there's a different focus in when you're reading it. You're not reading it for the story value or for the understanding and discernment and awareness value only. You're also doing it as a course. We are practicing what is coming from the thing. That's why the tasks and exercises, and if we were doing it fully as the course, we'd be doing repeat backs and takeaways. But we've done that on other things, so we don't have the time for that right now. So we're just doing it in this way. It's our particular way of doing repeat backs and takeaways, right? And we do that on a consistent basis. Look at Beena. She did a repeat back of her question and the discussion from yesterday. Plus, she added a takeaway as well. So she went back over it. The repeat back wasn't of what she said yesterday. The repeat back was of what came later in the day. And she shared it here. But in that sharing, she's doing it, kind of putting it again, saying what's happened, but putting it in her own words. Well, it was in her own words anyway, but re-saying it. In that re-saying, she grabs onto it. She grabs hold of it. She tightens it up, cleans it up, neatens it, makes it utilizable. She extracts the abstract understandings, the key principles, the thoughts, not the specific solution, because that doesn't help you in the future. The abstract understanding that you can transfer to a similar situation, that helps you. So Beena was applying and also there's the takeaways, applying repeat backs and takeaways. Yes, the key concept she pulled out of them. The key concept, energy management. Yes, and the other key concept here was a relative importance perception. If I take it as a keyword to put in my dictionary of power, relative importance perception. The thing stays the same, I shrink. I stay the same, the thing enlarges. The thing enlarges and I shrink. Yeah.
Yes.
Relative importance perception. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Perfect.
and low energy. Yeah. So now look what I did. I did a summation of what Beena did, and we get tighter and tighter and tighter. Now we have something that we can hold on to and utilize. We're looking for that
Yes.
practical value, that practical applicability. Applicability. Yes. Not application only, but applicability also as a different thing, right? Because when I have the applicability as a concept, I can go and apply it. And we're applying all sorts of other things here now, tightening, thinking, practicing expression, right? Being thoughtful, etc. Very powerful, very, very powerful. All right, let me screen share. I love this, unless you have more to add on this. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, love it, love it. Very exciting, very, very, very exciting. There we are.
Are you going to read because I'm eating? Okay.
You stuffing your face, are you? Oh, without offering. What are you eating?
Okay, I'm going.
What are you eating, Beena? What are you eating? What are you eating?
It's minced and potatoes.
Oh man, well, I'm just, I guess it was a kindness not to offer, because that would be delicious right now. All right. Where were we yesterday, Beena? Were you here yesterday, or was Syl here yesterday? I can't remember. Were you here yesterday?
Here day before yesterday.
Ah, so you were here yesterday.
Yes,
was
but my network dropped, so I was.
Oh,
But my network dropped, so you were reading.
yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to eat and listen.
Yeah. All right. I'm not sure where we are, but doesn't matter. It was a very quick drop, Beena. It just dropped and put me right back in again. All right. Thank you, Internet. But now I have to screen share again. Interesting. I knew I would not be able to return to my life with any semblance of continuity. I would have to massively lie to myself for that to happen. Self-honesty has fortunately been one of my skills. I simply had to acknowledge the reality of the situation. Had. She emphasizes that had. Not simply had to acknowledge, like as a casual sort of a by the by statement. No, had emphasized, right? Big deal, right? And obviously, she also has to acknowledge, by implication here, that massive change of some kind was in order. We are, to put this into context, if you haven't followed, Ursula comes from her world. She comes in contact with a new nobility and Biella specifically. And suddenly this is a new paradigm that she is in. She's never seen anything like it. She's never experienced anything like it. She realizes that the paradigm of the superiority paradigm, if she does the same behavior she normally does, which she's very expert at, I mean, truly expert, she's next in line to be the leader of her world. And she's very accomplished, she's very wealthy, she's very successful, she's well regarded, she has high status, blah, blah, right? If she applies that style of interacting with Biella, she would just look silly and foolish and childish. And Biella would basically just have to sort of dumb things down for a little bit, because, well, you know what, I'm speaking about something profound or spiritual or a deep philosophical point, a point of application, a point of understanding, a point of discernment. And here you come with petty ego stuff to say, look how wonderful I am, look how wonderful I am. It's like a 2-year-old, right? So Ursula became aware of this, and she wanted to say stuff, her typical habitual responses. She fortunately didn't say them, and this is what confused Biella, because like, what's going on? Because there was this internal turmoil for Ursula, right? And if we go earlier in the story, And Ursula realized that, wow, I'm out of my depth here. I'm in a different world. I'm not even out of my depth. I don't even know what the depth is here. But I realize I am in something deep. Yes, it's like you were walking around on the earth and suddenly you're in the middle of the ocean deep down. It's like, holy moly, what do you do when you go from walking around, right? And the next thing you find yourself deep down in the ocean. You can't walk the way you normally walk. Walking in the ocean doesn't work, you see? You've got to do everything differently. It's a shift of paradigm. Yeah. So she says now that, and because of this, but she also realizes, wow, the ocean, like, man, this is so much more than where I was before. Like, going back there, it's going to be a bit lame now, right? So what do? I can't behave the way I used to behave, and I can't go back either. How do you resolve this? The resolve is, I simply had to acknowledge the reality of the situation. And obviously, I had to acknowledge that massive change of some kind was in order. Massive change. You see how she's resolving this, right? She's acknowledging the truths of the situation. I'm in a new situation that's profound and it's more. My old situation I can go back to. I can't behave according to my old ways here. And well, if I go back to the old, I know there's a more out there. And well, will I be able to forget about it? No. So what do I have to do? I can't behave the way I used to behave in my old situation. I have to change. I don't want to go back, and I can't behave the way I had to. I have to change. It's like duh. I mean, it's not any other option really, right? It's just a total duh. I was humbled, says Ursula. I was humbled, truly humbled. She really understands this. And there's very few people that I've ever met who are willing to acknowledge that they were humbled. Because sadly, in the superiority paradigm, humbled is connected to humiliation. And I've had people who assumed it was the same thing. That to be humbled means you've been humiliated. No, it does not mean that. It's a very important distinction. Yes. Very, very critical distinction. To be humble does not mean you've been humiliated, but sadly, many mistake it so. Therefore, when they do come into contact with a Moreness situation, they run away. Because it's humbling, like Ursula said, it's humbling to realize, even though you've had it and you've been successful in your bubble, that there are massively bigger bubbles out there that have so much more Moreness. That's very humbling to realize there's more out there relative to what you are expert at. Right? So in your little bubble, you're the king of the bubble. But outside that, in that other bubble, you're nothing. This is very humbling. Yes. And we need to get used to this because that's the reality of the universe. Relative to the universe, you can keep increasing your bubble by an infinity. It doesn't matter. You're always going to be behind the universe because the universe is infinity. So be aware, get used to being humbled. Yeah. And this is a big point. And, unfortunately, like I said, I see this too often that people come, they touch, and it's too much for them. And they confuse humbled with humiliated. And well, I'm just going to be stupid over there. Yeah. Is Ursula stupid in this situation? No. It's just honest. That's all you need to do. Simply be honest to say, look, I don't know. That's all. Like I was saying yesterday, people are so afraid of their ignorance being exposed, but expose it deliberately. Did anybody try that, by the way? Norma, did you say to people to say, hey, you know what? I don't know anything. I'm just ignorant. I've come to realize this. I'm like really, really ignorant, and see what they say. I think you mentioned yesterday that, likely your daughters would be very kind and nice to you and say, oh, that's wonderful, Norma, or Ma, or whatever they call you. MU, maybe, like I do. Mother. I used to say mother. I never said mom or anything like that. Mommy, never. That was never an option. I just didn't call my mother anything, actually. But later, when I was a teenager, I started saying mother because I really had to then have something to say. Anyway, but the maternal unit is good too. Yeah, MU for maternal unit or PU for the paternal unit. They work pretty good. My sister came up with it, my younger sister. Anyway, youngest sister. This point I'm making, though, about being humbled. It's a big deal. And also acknowledging your ignorance, right? And this is what she does. And does anybody there think Ursula is bad or horrible or pathetic or lame or silly? No. They just think this is wonderful. Yes. What else are you going to think? This is fantastic. Yeah. We don't know Ursula yet. She may be intelligent. She may be stupid. Who cares? We know she has a good heart. We know she has good sensibility. We know she has good sobriety. We know she's honest. We know she has integrity. What more do you want? What do I care how intelligent she is or how successful she is? It's totally irrelevant. To Biella, it's utterly, completely, and thoroughly irrelevant. It matters not one iota. Yes, none, none. Different paradigm. See, on Ursula's old world, yes, those things matter. In Biella's world, yeah, so what? You got a lot of money. Biella might just name, another one, somebody who sadly wasted their whole life chasing things that don't really make a difference. Yeah. On Ursula's world, oh, you're so wealthy. That's fantastic. On Biella's world, oh, what a waste of energy. No, she won't assume, she won't have it in a way because she doesn't know. But potentially she could have that. Biella wouldn't think that because that would be too presumptive. She doesn't know. But it may turn out that way. And from Ursula's point of view, it has turned out that way. But it brought her to Nobelia, so the universe worked it all out. I was humbled, says Ursula, truly, out of my element, feeling I had nothing to contribute. Why do you have to have something to contribute? Why do you feel you have to have something to contribute? Think it through, think it through, think it through. Do you not, when you go to a sports, a big sports match, right? Game, tournament, race, whatever, you go as a fan, or you go as a fan to a music concert, to a poetry reading, anything, right? When you go to something as a fan, do you have something to contribute to the thing that you are watching? You know, the sports, the race, the game, the match, the reading, the song, the performance. Do you contribute in any way to it? Yes and no. You don't contribute directly, but you contribute by being a fan, don't you? By being there, your presence, whether you're a fan or not, simply being audience is contribution. Yes. Whether you a willing audience or not. All right, let's say you go into a nightclub and there's you're the only patron, right? And for whatever reason, everybody's at home watching the news or watching some other thing, and and there's a stand-up comedian there, and they've been hired to do a gig. Yes. Now, and you're the only one there. Now, you're not in there. You're just there because, well, it's sort of the restaurant in a hotel, and usually there are lots of people, but today it's only you. But you're there just to eat, right? You don't care two hoots about the comedian there. I'm hungry. I want to eat. It doesn't matter. All right, do your comedy. I'm eating. I'm focused on my food. Yeah, maybe I'm even looking at my phone and stuff. But to the comedian, it's huge. Whether you like what they say or not, whether you pay attention or not, now they are able to do their show. Yes? Whether you listen, whether you respond, whether you like or not, is irrelevant to the comedian, right? They are enabled to do, they are legitimately, because if there's nobody in the room, well, I guess they could practice. But they've practiced it so much already, they know how to do it. They want to have it as a live thing. It's a very different thing to practice with nobody in the audience than to actually do it as if you're doing it for real. Of course, you always practice every time you're doing it fully. You're always practicing, always, right? So to that comedian, whether you're paying attention to them or not, doesn't matter. It puts a spin, a leverage on them to do it for real, as if you were there, and as if the one is all that's needed. See, so my point is, right, when you say I have nothing to contribute, don't be so sure of that. simply being in an environment, in a group setting, being near others, in any way, shape, or form, contributes. Yes, whether you think you have something to contribute or not. You eating your dinner there, completely ignoring the comedian, focusing on your eating, thinking about your day, whatever. You're contributing. You're making a massive difference to that comedian. Massive. Or actor or musician or whatever. Doesn't matter. Making a massive difference, even though you may be unaware of it. So whenever we are in any kind of interaction, whether you now think you have something to contribute or not, you are contributing in a capital C way without you even intentionally or deliberately doing so. Very important point to remember. But when in situations like this, if you simply, and that's why I like people to say hi. If I know you, you are contributing, whether you're listening, paying attention or not, doesn't matter. Like that person in the restaurant, right? It gives me that leverage to share in a particular way. Yeah. So Norma, you make a massive difference and you contribute profoundly, even if you don't say a word. Now, of course, you do. Your comments are always wonderful. All bonus though, bonus, 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 bonus. Yeah, I mean, so I'm eating in the restaurant and I do look up. Oh, that joke caught my attention, right? And the comedian says, "Oh, that one scored there," and I like frown at it. It's like, seriously, dude, really, you're gonna go there? And he's like, "Oh, okay, that didn't work. All right, it's only an audience of one. It may work with others. He doesn't know, but at least you got the reactions, feedback. See, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We can contribute in many, 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 many ways. Again, even like I totally just I'm oblivious to the comedian. He still gets that ability to practice for real and do something where otherwise he wouldn't. Yeah. So big point, right? Out of my element, feeling I had nothing to contribute. Please don't feel this way. You always contribute, people. You always contribute. You contribute simply by being. You contribute simply by being. Be aware of that. I guess I do. Everyone has. See, Ursula clicks now. But not from the context I was expert at. She's thought this through. She's starting to realize, I can contribute, but not from the context I was expert at. I'm here contributing as an ear. Oh, what do you mean contributing as an ear? You won't think about it. If you just think it through, it will be self-explanatory. I realized I could not engage with this world from the context of being that's appropriate on mine. Massive change of some kind is in order. And here, Ursula, as this overwhelm of the massive change, if we look at this, right? She says, yeah, I simply had to acknowledge, because the self-honesty. So this entire share of us, see, it's all in one, the quotation marks there, right? It's all one sharing. All of this together overwhelms Ursula. That's why there's the new quotation marks here, right? Because it's a jump. It implies there's some shift in this. So this is on one topic, 1 point, one understanding, right? I realized I could not engage with this world from the context of being that's appropriate for me. She hasn't come yet to how she would engage. So she jumps because she hasn't resolved the set. That's as far as her thinking went on that at this point, right? So she shifts. She says, but I asked myself, how would Biella fare on my world? It's a jump to give herself. You see, she says, Ursula shifted context somewhat, perhaps to relieve some self-imposed pressure. And that self-imposed pressure is that how am I going to be appropriate here? How am I going to interact? How am I going to be? And she does resolve this really profoundly, as we'll see going further. Now, so she shifts. And be aware that this is, now, you could say as a writer, to continue this thought train here and resolve this issue might be sort of sensible and logical. Let's get this done. Let's get this sorted. Don't leave us hanging there and don't bring in confusion and thing. No, but this is how conversations really are. This is how people jump in their conversations, right? So it's not like I'm trying to be real here. It's just the way it came out. But it actually is a very accurate representation, and it shows how things work in a good way. And also, it's for the reader, at least for me, It's practice your ability to hold on to a thread. Yes, we're going to come back to it, but don't have to have your things fed to you all the time. Don't get your brain to be lazy. Say, all right, this is an unresolved thing. Let me wait and see till it comes. Yeah, develop that point, because that skill in life is a massively valuable skill. And many authors deliberately do that so they can stretch their story. Otherwise, their story is going to be basically all resolved in the first chapter, right? So they will use it as a mechanism to, they jump around, give backstory, and they deliberately leave you hanging to keep tension so you keep reading the story. It's like all those nonsense videos we see all the time on Facebook, right? Look at them. They have this big, long build up until you get to the end. You could just well skip to the end. But if you skip to the end, it's 5 seconds, and then the video doesn't get a long watch time, which is what they're after. You see? So they drag it out in order to create more watch time. So we don't want to do that here. It's not for that reason, but it does get done sometimes. Anyway, just saying, learn to practice the skill of being able to hold your attention and connect later on. This is important. Ursula needs time. Ursula needs time. Stuff's coming fast. Stuff's coming fast. So learn from Ursula. You don't have to resolve things quickly. Let things come to you. And she said this already before. Let it come. She's waiting for it to come. But I asked myself, how would Biella fare on my world? Ursula shifted context somewhat, perhaps to relieve some self-imposed pressure. She looked at the group. They knew her question was rhetorical, but one to which they were being invited to supply the obvious answers. So a rhetorical question is one which by definition means that an answer is not expected. Right? You ask it and you're not looking for a response really. But in this particular case, it's rhetorical, but please give me the obvious answers. Yeah, because I need a break here and I want to sort of discuss it as if we're doing it because I also want to get some space here, right? So now they're going to do that. Very sophisticated, both on Ursula's part and on the group's part. Yes, to be aware that it's a particular instance of a rhetorical question, one which give me the obvious answers because I want to check my perception. I want to just get a bit of space, right? Also, there was an element of Ursula checking and testing her perceptions. She wants to make sure that she's, and this is a kind of in the inverse, she's checking to see where she's at when it comes to her, because she doesn't want to quite invite their commentary on her right now. That would be too much to deal with. So she's doing it in the opposite. Very sophisticated. Learning fast indeed, she was, says Yoda, throwing himself into the conversation unexpectedly there. Biella turned, looking at Camillus to his slight surprise. And Biella, being the fantastic opportunist that she is, jumps on this and says, hey, you know what, Camillus, you had a yes exclamation earlier to in agreement with Ursula that yes, your yes, what was going on with Ursula was applying to you also. So let's see what you have to say on this. So this is so directly a similar issue for you, Camillus. The question connected to where he'd left off earlier with his yes exclamation, he realized. She was so quick. Yes, Biella is ridiculously quick. He said ingloriously. Then laughed, a great big laugh. Of course she would be fine. It's me who is the fish out of water, or at least in unaccustomed waters. Yes, I know I am mixing things together, but you know what is going on. Ha, I am learning, he said with mixed emotions. I am learning. Ha, I am learning, he said with mixed emotions. Simple little point there. Why would he have mixed emotions about learning? Does Ursula have mixed emotions about learning? No, she's thrilled to be learning. Does Biella or the group have mixed emotions about learning? No, they're thrilled to be learning. Why is learning in this case? He repeats it. I am learning, he says, mixed emotion. I am learning. But he's saying, right, if we take out the narration commentary, Camellia says, ha, I am learning. I am learning. Right? If we hear it without that there, that's how it would say, right? If it was like a radio play, Camillus would just say, ha, I am learning. I am learning. And the actor would put in the mixed emotions. Yeah. Why? Why is it mixed emotions for him? Are you still eating, Beena? I guess so.
I'm here. I'm here. I was
Are,
just
are you still eating? I was asking.
no, no.
Oh, good, because I want to eat.
Still
Uh,
eating, Veena? How much you are going to eat now?
well, I don't know. You may be eating slowly. All right. Why
No,
is
I
it
was
mixed emotions for Camillus about learning?
because for me, he is an intelligent person. He knows that there is a value into this, but of course, also the superiority paradigm he is coming from. It's not
Yeah,
easy for
yeah,
him to
yeah,
leave. So
yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
oxymoronic kind of thing that okay, yes, I know, but
Yes,
no,
it's
it is
oxymoronic for him to be learning
exactly.
because where he comes from, he's the teacher. Now, of course, he says, "Look, you're always learning," and he said this before. But
Mhm.
what he really is saying there is, I am learning, capital L.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because of course, when you're a teacher you're a professor, you always learn, but you learn little bits here, little bits there. You know the most of what's going on, right? So it's little things that gets added. But yeah, he is capital L learning whole new paradigms of being and shifting, whole new exquisite ways of interacting and sharing, things he never even thought about. Yes. And he's learning that his core of what he thinks is the most important thing in the world is not so. Now, he hasn't come to that conscious conclusion yet, and I don't know if he does in the story or not. We'll have to see. We'll see. I want to give it away. Nonetheless, this is a big stumbling block for him, that there are some things that he can't reconcile.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And he
asked
has
that
worldview
question that
collapse. Yeah.
yes, you asked that that have you ever said that I don't know anything?
Oh
Um,
yeah, to
I
your family. Like if you go to them and say, you know what, I've come to this realization, I've been thinking, and I realized that I'm completely ignorant and I don't know anything. Did you say this
I
to your
never said
family?
this. I never said this to anyone. First,
Oh,
in the beginning, because I was not aware that I don't know anything. So I didn't say that to anyone, even to myself, because whatever I was assuming that I'm aware of, that was the whole thing. So it was that question was kind of like redundant, like, okay, why to say that?
yeah.
I was not aware that what I was not aware of. So that was for
I
me.
was not aware of what I was not aware of. This is the issue for both Ursula and Camillus. Ursula embraces it with heart and soul and spirit. Camillus is very, very cautious. He's not even acknowledging it fully yet, but he does acknowledge it also. He's acknowledging the reality, but he's not yet acknowledging how he needs to act in response to it. Where Ursula did, she said massive change was obviously in order. That's the difference between Ursula and Camillus. He's recognizing that there's a massive difference. Yeah. But he hasn't yet
Yeah.
acknowledged that he needs to do something
Yes.
about it. Because in his psychology, understanding is the highest goal. He said so. So he understands what's going on in his mind. Well, what more do I need to do? I understand. But he's realizing that understanding is not enough, but he's not conscious of this fact. Right? So he's got this unconscious pressure in him now, right? Which is why he's got the mixed emotions. Make sense?
Yes. So
Oh.
for me, I was sharing about me that first I was not aware of, so that was not a question. Like even if the question doesn't exist, that oh,
Exactly. I was
I'm
not
not aware.
aware of what I was not aware of.
Yes.
Yes.
And then when they start
My
the
lifelong
awareness start
understanding.
kicking in, Oh, sorry, you're very soft. Maybe your mic
Oh,
has not.
I said my lifelong understanding. I'm not aware of what I'm not aware of.
So
Uh,
it was like, okay, I was happy in my bubble because
Yeah,
whatever is
yeah.
needed, this is the whole awareness thing, and okay, I know. And if I don't know that, okay, it will. I need to learn, and I will learn. So it was not about any bigger or abstract concept. It was about the
Mm.
life in general. That okay, yes, this is something I know. I never paid attention to that. Okay, this is what I'm understanding, and this is what my perception. What what can be other than this? That was not the question. So this was not the curiosity in my mind. But later, when I realized that okay, yes, there's so many things. I was too overwhelmed and too excited by this understanding that there is more. And then it was out of embarrassment. I never said it out loud that I don't know anything because it was too much. It was too much. And I didn't feel that need that I had to go and say that because I know nothing if I really start saying that, but also I know some. I know some of it. Please. This is the very big realization. So I was too happy and excited for the moreness coming in my life, and I said, "Oh, what if this is still the thing that okay, people say that okay, oh, like a metaphor that okay, what makes you jump out of your bed? I literally do this uh, and say that what I'm going to learn today, what I'm going to learn today. So for me, the process is so exciting, and it's like wow, what is it like? I don't know that full.
Thrilling.
Yes, thrilling, exactly. This is so thrilling. I don't have time to go back and reflect on these things which are very crucial. It needs to be done. But right now I'm in the process of learning, and this journey is so like sparkling, scintillating, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, yes.
This is what it is.
Glorious.
Again, it is on top, and we can't hear you.
Glorious. Glorious.
Yes. Yes. And also very, very much grandeur kind of. So
Right.
I'm just observing the the grandness, the hugeness, shine and the brightness and the moreness. So yes, I must say that okay, I'm lacking in this thing. Maybe it is my ego, and I'm not sure. But I never get to this point where I just go out and say that okay, I don't know anything. I never feel that urge inside me. I never actually consider this.
I'm sending thumbs up to Norma. She's just sending me beautiful stuff. Love you, Norma. Love you, Norma. Love you, Norma.
So
Beena,
really,
you said you're
these
learning.
questions are too big for me right
Right.
now to
Yes.
even say that. So I'm not saying these type of things about myself.
You
Even
said you,
saying that, okay, I
oh,
don't know anything.
yeah. You said you're in the process of learning. When
Yes,
you say learning like that, I hear the capital L. And
yes.
does capital L learning include application and
Without
practice?
application, it's all meaningless. There is no point.
Right. And also practice, because you can apply the new learning like once and say, okay, well, now I sort of applied it or that. No, you need to practice it to make it innate. Yes.
Yes.
So it's application by capital L learning includes capital A application. Capital A application is more than little a application because it includes practice. Capital P practice is more than little p practice because there's the sophistication of nuance of understanding what it is that we are doing, expanding, testing, not just getting to have the ability in itself, but the ability to apply abilities, right? So we are practicing abstract skills through the application of a specific skill. So all of these, right, from learning, it's like a pyramid. And you got underneath it, in the next layer, you got application, then you got practice. Yes. Then you got even another layer, maybe under that, which could be being. right? Being includes practice, application, and learning. Go reverse. No?
Yes.
All right. I just want to make it clear that when you say I'm learning, it's not just acquisition of new information, new data. Camillus says, I am learning, but it's with mixed emotions because his learning does not include application and practice, and therefore a shift of being, right? His learning does not result in change of himself. He believes it does, but this is his quandary. He believes understanding is enough, and it's not. But he believes it. He believes it with every ounce and fiber of his being. It's his be all and end all.
Yes. So
Big problem, big problem, big problem, right?
so he is aware. He's aware that what is actually needed and um, what is right. Okay, I don't know how to say that other than right. What is true, but it's still he's not able
He lacks the
to
courage to overcome his own ego.
yes. So that is why that okay, it's a good example. That's why I always feel insane about that awareness is self-curative. Yes, in some cases, yes, but some are exceptions. When without application, it's all meaningless. So yes, you are aware, you can be, but if you're not doing, then it cannot be self-curative. So that was my understanding. Of course, this could be just a different perspective on this. But I'm very cautious of saying that, okay, awareness is self-curative, because mostly people, they know, okay, but I was not aware that, okay, what exists outside my awareness, what actually there is more. That's why I was happy in my bubble that there was no need to say that, okay, I don't know anything, because it means that at least I'm aware what something exists outside my awareness. But I was even not that aware, so I never said that. But people who are aware, they aware of all these things, but it's still the actually giving up or getting out of their happy bubble. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to give up all these things unless or until you find the journey, the process of learning so exciting and thrilling.
Exactly.
Otherwise, because comfort is completely opposite to excitement and thrill. So for me, if you have this ability to see and find that process of learning and growing exciting and thrilling and shine and bright and all joyful, uh, if not, then it is going to be very difficult to
Yes,
leave the comfort zone.
exactly. Like Camillus. Exactly.
Yes. Comfort zone is actually, people say
Exactly.
that it's natural, it is in our natural instinct to be in comfort, because this is the first state of being we experience as a human, like a baby in the womb.
Right.
They are okay, I'm getting nurtured, I'm protected, I'm not getting disturbed by anything, I don't have to do anything, I can just float and be
Yeah.
and just be. That is the state. And this is the instinct, like it is imprinted in our conscious and subconscious mind. So that's why every effort geared toward to get relaxed, to feel relaxed, to get into comfort. This is the thing. Whatever
Yeah.
you people ask you that, okay, whatever you, if you ask them what they are doing, what is the end purpose, what is the end result, what is the point they want to achieve, it will be like, that joy, that bliss. This is actually what it is. So
Mhm.
it is in human instinct. So there are very few people who actually go out of that comfort soothing zone, out of womb, get out of womb, and they start living. So it is exactly like that, to have life. This is what happened to us. That's why mostly, I guess, babies cry. Like, or if they don't cry, the first smack from the doctor will give you like, okay, now you need to cry. You need to make your presence here. You need to feel uncomfortable because now you're not in that womb anymore. So sometimes our comfort zone are like
like a womb, being and staying in the womb, just floating, not doing anything, not thinking, not putting any effort, and getting nurtured and all that. So
Very, very cool, Beena. Very, very, very cool. Very, very cool. You know, a point there about you said that this acknowledgement of ignorance, it's a constant for me.
Hmm.
Almost every single day, if not multiple times in a day. Do I consider that regardless of what I think I might know, what I've shared, what I've written, which is a lot of stuff, I still feel ignorant. I'm aware that all of it could disappear in a flash and become completely and utterly irrelevant in the way all of Ursula's proficiency and expertise and status and value and wealth and everything became irrelevant on Nobelia. I'm aware of this and I feel it constantly. So I
this is
check.
what I was trying to say. Thank you for saying this in these words, because I am not there yet where I can actually see that, okay, what I'm not aware of. You are aware of it. I'm not aware of it. Right now, this is the process for me to learn and like, okay, what is available, what is not available to me is going to be after that. And I'm not aware of it. So for me, I know that people say that they don't have any ego issue. But for me, if I would say that, oh, I know that I don't know anything. This is a false statement for me because right now I'm not aware of it. So that if I would say that, either it would be a lie or otherwise it will come from the ego. At least this is what I feel right now. I am not there yet where I can say I'm aware of what I don't know. I don't know.
What I'm saying is that I'm acutely aware that I don't know, regardless of maybe knowing a little bit here and there. The more I know, the more I am aware of how much I don't know. It works the opposite way around, Beena. This is why capital T trust is so huge. I think of it as the inverted pyramid of knowledge and awareness. The more that pyramid fills up, right? Think of this pyramid like a funnel on top of your head, right? Knowledge and awareness coming in this pyramid, right? There's like a funnel and it's got a little bit of, you know, like when you pour stuff in a funnel, there's a little bit in there. The more that funnel pulls up, the more you're able to see, oh, there's more space, you see? So the more aware you are, the more aware you become of how much you are unaware of. It works the other way around. So we have to learn, we have to develop some technique for dealing with our ever increasing unawareness as our awareness increases. We have to learn how to deal with our ever increasing unawareness as our awareness increases. Because it's again that relative. As the one gets bigger, it notices the other more. Yeah. That's all. That's all. It's again that relativeness, right? But still, that doesn't mean simply because I am nothing compared to the universe, does not mean I am nothing compared to nothing. Because I'm not nothing. I am a something. And any something is a something compared to nothing. So I may be nothing compared to the universe, but I'm something compared to nothing. Yeah. It's a very profound quote. I've quoted this quote before. I'm nothing compared to the universe, but I am something compared to nothing. So we need to maintain our relative perspective in this that we want to have the simultaneous awareness of compared to nothing, I'm something. Now, an egotist says, well, compared to nothing or compared to the little, compared to rubbish, oh, I'm special, I'm wonderful, blah, blah, blah. You know, they look at animals and say, oh, look how fantastic I am. Yeah, compared to the universe, you're nothing. They forget that part. Right? Or you get people who are overcome with humility and feel depressed, and they look around them and say, well, compared to everything else, I'm nothing. And they get all depressed. Yeah, you got to get both. You got to get both. You got to get both simultaneously. This is the sophistication that we are continually talking about. Exquisiteness of awareness. Keep them both in mind always simultaneously. Never is it either one or the other. Right, Beena?
I will try to do that.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
Because for me, it was like, maybe the idea is that whatever is going to is available for us to be aware of is very limited, then very minute in comparison to what is not actually available for us to be aware of. So for me, it is like, okay, just get done with this learning, and then maybe you will reach at some point where the awareness will come that, okay, what I'm not actually aware of right now.
Yeah.
And then I
It
can
will.
say that, okay, yes, I know that I know nothing. This is, yes. So it's a big question. It's a big statement, and it's a big question also. So for me, that's why I'm reluctant to say that. Exactly same like when I was reluctant to acquire
that glorious
different
self-honesty.
Any self-conception other than a power learner. I was super reluctant to acquire anything because it's a huge thing, and my mind is telling me that, okay, these are big statements, these are big huge thing. And especially when you say it out loud, like you are communicating with the universe. When you say that, universe provides you opportunity to actually be in that situation where you can experience all those things. And I'm kind of scared of, because I don't feel that I'm capable of right now. So I avoid saying these type of statements. I might sound like a bit egotistical, that, okay, she is not accepting that she's not aware of, but it's not like that. I'm afraid of, I'm scared of that, because this is how universe always communicate, always respond to questions, earnest questions. If you ask a question, or the challenge, when you try to challenge.
To say I'm ignorant is not actually accurate, because how can I say I'm ignorant when I don't even know what it is I'm ignorant of?
Exactly. That is, thank you for saying it in more exact way. This is what I was trying to say, that I am not in that situation right now, and I'm afraid of, I'm scared of, actually, not afraid. I'm scared of getting into the situation where I will have a proof of everything.
And to make such a blanket statement,
Exactly.
we like to be more precise.
Yes.
Very, very cool. Very sophisticated, Beena. Very sophisticated. Wonderful. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Very cool, very cool. Very powerful understanding and awareness. See how our Beena there worked it through. She thought about it. The honesty couldn't say, well, but I can't say this, she had to resolve it for herself. Like Ursula, she did exactly, she was busy Ursulaing there, or Ursula was Beenaing, either way, right? I will say Beena was Ursulaing because Ursula came before. So Beena was ushering, thinking it through, and applying that honesty in that exquisite application of honesty. Now, I have to be able to really be comfortable with this. By the way, on comfort, when we start, we get out into life, the equivalent of the womb is the cave or the den where we anchor down in and we're all cozy. Yes? Problem with that is that if you stay in that cozy den or cave too long, after a while it gets a bit stinky and smelly,
Exactly.
So understand that comfort is very nice, but only for brief periods of time. You can't be stick in your little den or your hole for too long. It's going to get very stinky in there.
Yes. Yes. Because universe has its own system to make things uncomfortable for you, for your own learning and growing. So yes,
You need more.
even after a specific time, you cannot stay in the womb. Of course, you have to. You have to
Yeah,
get out of it.
a quick update. Exactly. We have to move. We have to move. So we need to learn to be comfortable in open spaces, in forests, in jungle, in mountains, anywhere. We want to be comfortable everywhere, and in the den, right? If you're always hunkering for that den, you're going to be very limited. You need to be able to be comfortable
And
anywhere.
this is the idea right now. Maybe this is just my personal perspective and my understanding that when people say that, okay, just be, this is exactly what just being means.
It
So you
means you've
cannot.
taken the den and you've replaced it by the boundaries of your awareness, your emotionalities, your conception, your skin. That's it.
Yes. So this is what just being means for me right now.
Yes.
Of course, it can change anytime, but
Yeah.
right now I feel that okay, it's not fun or it's not the ultimate goal to feel just being, because for me it's negating or trying to avoid the challenges,
Yeah.
even just feeling the emotions or your atmosphere, your climate around you, or your or other people's energy and other different energies. It's challenging, it's not comfortable, but this
Yeah.
is what life
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
This is what living
Exactly.
and
But if
being
we
is.
aren't able to be, in other words, if we aren't comfortable in the den of our own skin,
Exactly.
then we're going to have a very hard time doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we're going to be wanting to do, our doing then becomes something else. And you're looking to do the impossible, which is to be comfortable outside of yourself. It can't be. It can't be. Right? Can't be. Right. So
Yes.
sometimes that den needs to be cleaned up. In other words, you can't just go running out and, well, you come back, well, it's still smelly. You got to clean it out. So, great. Same with us inside. Same with us inside.
Yes.
Very, very powerful. Ha! I am learning. I am learning, says Camillus with mixed emotions. But he glanced mischievously at Nora and was rewarded with a giggle. But I suspect were Biella to go there right now as she is here right now, he says, repeating in a close repeat and poor grammar and poor writing style, Camillus, it would cause social havoc. He chuckled a touch wickedly at the thought. He's aware enough to realize that the Biella would be a great conundrum. A great, great, great conundrum. I'm going to skip this here, this part where they discuss this, because we went over it with Syl, actually. Either or system, just the whole comparison mindset and how they would treat her and all that, right? All right, so she says here, if Biella were to go there precisely as she is now, Ursula paused, looking at Biella, finding the reassurance to continue. The main point of my thought digression exploration was that I came to the conclusion, perhaps by some leaps and through becoming aware of the obvious, that Biella would maintain her integrity, even if that meant complete and total change. So now I skipped over things to get to this point. Actually, well, I didn't remember this, but I'm very glad that I picked it up here. It was really handy. So Ursula was busy sharing, and then, about the massive change needed, right? And then she had this digression. Oh, but what if Biella went there to give herself a bit of space? So I'm just skipping the digression, and I'm picking right off at the continuation of where she was at, right? The main point of my digression exploration, my thought digression exploration, was that I came to the conclusion, perhaps by some leaps and through becoming aware of the obvious, that Biella would maintain her integrity, even if that meant complete and total change. In other words, Ursula is saying, I am going to maintain my integrity. I have to maintain my integrity. I cannot give up my integrity. If you understand what integrity is, this is a duh. Right? Even if that meant complete and total change. Likely of the other system, I suspect, not her, she throws in. Which is why Camillus was chuckling. He says, well, if Biella goes to that world, likely the world would change, not Biella. And this did happen in one of when Biella's tour of the galaxy. It did happen where a world ended up changing very literally, and Biella actually ended up owning that world. But that's another long story. Anyway, very fun story. Ursula grinned. So Ursula, you don't know it, but it's already happened. Literally happened. Yeah. Ursula grinned. The group echoed her sentiments, confirming and enjoying simultaneously. But she would not compromise her self-cohesion and ethics in any way. Oh, what a word, Beena. Isn't this what you were talking about? This word, yeah, this concept, this conception.
Yeah.
Self-cohesion. If we cannot be comfortable within ourselves, we don't have self-cohesion. We are going to see this with Camillus, where his self-cohesion has already taken a couple of hits. Ursula's did also, but she was. It's like, you know, it's like you sailing in the ocean and you run into a drifting tree and it punches a hole in your hull. You don't necessarily sink, right? Maybe, but you would if you don't fix that hole. Your integrity has been compromised. You crashed into something. Ursula made every effort to fix that, right? That's when Biella comes and she's there and she can't get a read on Ursula. It's because Ursula's scrambling inside to fix that hole, right? But not just to fix the hole, but to say, well, I'm sailing in an ocean of where there are lots of things. I better change my sailing style, better get a whole new hull. I'm going around in this wooden boat here. No, I have to go back and get a metal boat or whatever. She has to change, in other words, in order to deal with a new reality. But Camillus isn't doing this quite as much. A little bit here and there, but not enough. So self-cohesion, she has to. This is a big point, yes. Self-cohesion and ethics of this I was sure. No matter, that's the conclusion which came and sat with me. Now, yes, again, this no matter is very sophisticated by Ursula. She's saying it doesn't matter if her perception of what Biella would do is accurate or not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's making a statement about Biella, but she would not compromise her self-cohesion in any way. Of this, I was sure. But she's saying it as of this, I was sure. She's saying it, she's not inviting Biella to confirm this, right? I mean, she could, but she's saying no matter. It doesn't matter if it's actually accurate about Biella. She's pretty sure it is, but it doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because it prompted her into action. No matter. That's the conclusion which came and sat with me. What a sentence. What a sentence. Ursula doesn't say that's the conclusion I came to. In her old world, she would probably say it in such a way that somebody walks away with, wow, what a genius you were to figure this out. Right? How hardworking weren't you? How sensible, how thorough, how diligent, whatever. She would have found some way to communicate that this conclusion is the result of her being special, wonderful, exceptional, and fantastic in some way. Yeah, that's how she would have presented that there. Yeah, she says it in a very different way. She says, no matter. That's the conclusion which came and sat with me. It's a very, very simple sentence, but man, by implication, not that came into me, not that came up in me, not that came to be inside me, no, which came and sat with me. A conclusion which is sitting now with me. Oh, this is a conclusion which has not necessarily yet been adopted, correct? But it's not a stranger either. It's sitting with me. Not next to me, with me. Therefore, she may as well say therefore, a fact I had to reconcile or that or is the or for Camillus. Or I would have to go back with compromise. Look, she repeats that or. In other words, this or here is saying there's a lot here. The second or implies that she's sharing just part of the moreness, right? But her sentence here, or I would have to go back with compromise. That's not all of the or. It is accurate, but it's not all of it. Correct? Both entailed much. Both entailed much, right? Either she has to change massively, or she has to go back with compromise. Both entailed much. One, massive effort to change. Yes. The other, massive effort to maintain stasis. What an incredible comment. Again, yes, he's saying both entailed much, but Camillus doesn't realize yet, right? He's aware there's massive effort to change. He said it actually, yes, but he's not realizing that the other is going to take massive effort also, but it's a different massive effort. The effort to maintain stasis. But she says, not that I had been in status, but that's what it would be now. Wow, sophisticated awareness again. She was moving towards a goal, right? Being the leader of the world and all that, right? After that, who knows? But doesn't matter. She wasn't specifically in status. She was always moving towards something, right? Growing, learning, etc. But now that little difference, I mean, it's like, okay, you're working towards a goal of getting $100, and now suddenly you realize, well, you just met the billionaire. Yeah. Well, you know what? I was at 99. If I go back now, yeah, I get my 100, but really 199. What's the difference? Both are the same. See, so even though she wasn't in stasis, now it's become stasis. It's like I wasn't really, unwealthy, but now that I met Mrs. Billionaire over here, suddenly I realized that 9900 makes no damn difference, right? So very sophisticated awareness. Not that I had been in status, but that's what it would be now, considering the new horizons now available. Man, I'm enjoying my own writing here, I gotta tell you. She doesn't say the new options. She says the new horizons. Just think of that in a sophisticated way, the implication, right? Not saying the new boundaries, the new worlds, the new horizon, an horizon like here on the sea. What happens when we actually go out to that horizon? Like literally, if we were to say, oh, there's a boat anchored there on that horizon, and so we know where it is from here, right? We just see its mast sticking up there in the ocean. Yes, Beena?
Yes.
If we actually go to that boat and we look in the same direction as we're looking now, let's say we're facing southwest, right? And we go out there and we continue looking southwest.
Yes.
What would we see? What would we see? The third question, we're going to see the same view essentially of more ocean, correct? Okay, we want to have the beach there, but we're going to see the same horizon from here or from that point on the horizon there.
My network is, or your network is.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we get to the horizon, this is this is what horizon means. Is that when you get to the horizon, you see another horizon.
Yes.
In other words, by saying, excuse me, by saying, considering the new horizons, plural, now available. She's saying there's an infinity out here, not new boundaries. A boundary is a containment. Okay, there's a new boundary and it's a new world. It's a contained thing. No, a new horizon, infinity. I'm going to learn, and then I'm going to see this more to learn, and I'm going to learn, I'm going to see this more to learn, and it will just keep on going in multiple directions. Horizons, not singular. She could have said, considering the new horizon now available, but that would be a different comment, right? Not there, here. On her world, there's no new horizons. Yeah, on her old world. Not her world, because this is now her world. And she would have corrected me there. She would have said, nope, 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 young man, or soul, or whatever she would have called me. Said, no, on my old world, this is my world now. I've adopted it. I'm Ursula the Aspirant. Yeah, considering so there, not there, yeah. Yeah, there are new horizons, not there. I knew the cost of the latter, the price of the former, just a speculation. And the latter is Nobelia, and the former is old world, right? She's guessing at the price, or the other way around. Doesn't matter. The key issue: radical change. Radical, not necessarily profound or more radical. Yes, radical change. Are we prepared for radical change if it is required? Are we prepared for radical change? Are we able to engage in radical change? Do we have this capability? Beena, you know at least that I have, because you've been through radical change with me, right?
Yes.
And it was no big deal, because I have had practice with radical change before. Yes.
Yes.
So I've acquired the skill. And it doesn't make me special. I've just had the opportunity to practice it. And well, like anything, if you practice it, you get to acquire it. Yeah?
Okay. There is nothing secret, but I deliberately avoid to share some incidents, but just an abstract point of view, just one. There was a point where nothing was clear, like nothing. Like it was like after an hour, what will be the whole world around you? That type of scenario.
Yes.
And and I could feel that in the stress in my in my tummy, like, okay, oh my God, okay. But I was paying attention, literally, very, very scrupulously. I was paying attention to Syl.
Yeah.
And then there, I learned that, okay, what attunement is, what capital T trust is, what your impeccability actually means. Because when you once you're done, when you've done everything, when you do everything according to your awareness, according to your abilities, and your conscience is clear, that freedom, that calmness which comes from inside, of course it is going to be also an alertness that yes, things can be completely different out of expectations. So there was not like a completely like ignorant kind of calmness. No, there was an alertness with the calmness that yes, okay, whatever is going to come, I'm prepared for. Also, I'm open for the positive changes to come because I have done my things impeccably. It's hard to explain, but I have seen this. And that capability, trust, and also that persistence. In some situation, I see that persistence. It is easy when you are surrounded by those people who are supportive and who are in the same situation. But it is really difficult when you are by your own and you still have to, yes, on your own, and then you still have to maintain same motivation, that same energy, because no one is going to be there to motivate you. No one is going to leverage the energy. You are everything. In those situations, if
Say again your exact words. You are what?
I don't know what you are asking. You just made me confused.
Just repeat
now.
your sentence that you said 2 sentences back. You said you are everything. You said You said you are everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this in those situations, you really learn. I have this, I
Exactly.
get this opportunity to learn everything by real implementation,
Yeah.
real application, real example, real time. In real time, I have seen this, I have experienced this.
Very,
And then
very,
I
very,
said,
very
thank you,
powerful.
universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got my lessons. I don't want to be in this situation. I'm
Wonderful,
weak.
Beena.
I'm weak.
Wonderful.
This is what I said.
Wonderful.
But yes, but I have learned this. So many things, so many times
Absolutely.
in this whole process, in this whole journey. Okay, it's not whole, it is a process. It's I don't know that it sounds very oxymoronic, this whole journey. Like the whole journey, this journey is not ended. So it's a process that's going on. So far, I have experienced, I have observed, I had opportunity to see and perceive things in real time implementation, application, and getting and still maintaining that amazing application of being energy efficient.
It's very
Capillary
important.
trust.
It's very important. I mean, to practice some skills and acquire some skills. So this is what Beena is commenting on here, right? This ability to deal with radical change. It's a profound
Yeah.
skill. It's a profound skill. Now, yes, it's hard to acquire, but it's not impossible to acquire without massively disrupting your life, right? I mean,
Yes.
I opened myself up to living via attunement. And that was a
Yes.
radical change deliberately, right? In that gift of intent story. I mean, I basically just turned life upside down, philosophy of opposite applied, right? I did everything in kind of the opposite way as a consequence of deep thinking and conclusion. And I, like Ursula, I had no choice but to say radical change is in order. What I have isn't working, right? And that's how that came about. And maybe we'll read that depending on how we have time. I think I'm going to read that tomorrow with Janet. Janet just messaged, she says she will be here. So I'm so thrilled. I'm looking very forward to this.
Mhm.
She's been enjoying the story. But I think, Beena, we can read the gift of intent story tomorrow. Yeah, if we have time.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
All right. So the
Yes.
key issue, radical change, says Ursula. And this is just a little fun. This is me, Syl the author, Syl the nerd, having some fun here, right? So I'll explain in a moment. Just some of those little private things that authors do. You can work it out a little bit if you know what I'm talking about here. But as a
Mhm.
respected and popular historian on my old world is famous for saying, once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Okay. Now, this is just first focus on a quote here. Once you eliminate the impossible, for Ursula, living a lie is impossible. Yeah, it's not
Yes.
possible. Therefore, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. She's applying it to her behavior, not to discerning whether things are true or not. She's saying as a mechanism for utilizing for a course of action. This is genius. So the truth must be that I can't go back. And the other impossible was that on Nobelia. So first of all, I can't go back, which means I have to stay here.
Yes.
Right now, I'm staying here. If I'm here, the other impossible, there's two impossibles. The other impossible is that she cannot continue to behave as she would on her world. Right? She can't behave in the usual way. So if I can't go back, I'm here. If I'm here and I can't behave in the same way, well, the only thing that's left is to change. Correct? The truth is for her,
Mm.
in this case, when you eliminate the impossibles, I have to change. Simple, simple. It is a play on this quote. It's a massive, sophisticated usage of this quote, but it's very simple. When it comes to her making a decision, she eliminated the impossible, and what's left is the truth. I cannot go back. I cannot stay the same. Therefore, I must stay here and I must change. Very simple. Right?
Yes.
Wonderful. Now, that quote is a Sherlock Holmes quote, right? Comes from Sherlock Holmes, right? Very famous quote from Sherlock Holmes, because that's how part of his detecting strategy, right? When you eliminate, because a lot of his cases were very improbable, right? And that's one of his things that came. However, if you're a Star Trek fan, right, you will know that, especially in the Next Generation, with Picard and Data and all of them, they were very fond of Sherlock Holmes, and they went to the holodeck and they had Sherlock Holmes simulations, and this Sherlock Holmes came up a lot. And Data quotes this quote frequently. However, he's not the only one who quotes it. The Klingons quote the same quote, but it's from some Klingon whoever, right? So for the Klingons, it's a Klingon quote. And then it may even be some other culture also has it, right? This quote crops up in the different cultures, races, species, whatever you want to call it. But each claims it as their own. Yeah. So I thought this is too fun here that Ursula would have it on her world. It comes from some historian, some ancient historian, right? That, but it's original to her. So it's just a little bit of nerdiness from Star Trek where they do this, and everybody quotes it as like, no, this is a Klingon saying. What do you mean it comes from? No, it's not a human thing. It's a Klingon thing. So they argue about this, and this actually was a little bit of an argument. I think about this specific. It may have been about another thing, but it could have been about this. Anyway, just a fun little nerdiness there. I thought it's very cute to put that in. Yeah, that's my own fun. So that's for the Trekkie fans out there. Know this, yeah. Ursula continues, and in Beena's voice now.
Oh, okay. I was enjoying what you were doing, but was
all right. I'll continue then. All right. I feel I'm giving a lecture of sorts, but I've been encouraged to share my expertise. From what I gather, many of you come from very, very different worlds. That's no kidding, right? You got Blue Hamumt, and you got the collective that doesn't move, and that looks like basically an ambulatory termite hill. That's what they look like a termite tree, right? But that can move. You know what a termite hill looks like, yeah, Beena?
No.
No? Oh.
No.
Well, now we have to see. This is what we do. Just so you know, right? I'm not just doing this now as something that's, when we come to something like this, we can't leave it. We have to go and see, what does a termite hill look like? There you go. See?
Okay, coming. Okay. Now this is, I do this, but
correct. That's why I do this, right? But we don't leave things unresolved, right? I mean, they're just fantastic. So you see this kind of shape, this sort of a cone shape like that. So the collective looks like something of this nature, except they can move. Somewhere in the story, it's an ambulatory termite hill, or termite mound. Yeah. And this was the thing I was saying to Sher, if you're watching this. Just as a quick little aside, somebody in group said, do you recommend any reading, something profound? I'm going to recommend usually people in this situation, they recommend self-help books, or, books on philosophy. I'm going to recommend two books that are very, very, very different, and that will blow your mind somewhat. And the first one is called Soul of the White Ant. And the second one is called Soul of the White Ape. White Ant, White Ape. And they're both by Stuart Clutie. Okay. And I'll since I'm on Google, and he wrote these, a while back, not recently. Anyway, what he does in this Soul of the White Ant, he really investigates. And remember when we were talking a little while back, Beena, and still on my mind in a very big year. You see, Eugene Marais. You know what I said? I said Stuart Clutie to share. I'm sorry. Stuart Little is also a South African author, and he wrote a different book, but it's Eugene Marais. Sorry. That's right. Now I remember. Anyway, that's his name, Eugene Marais. It's pronounced Marais, right? The Soul of the White Ant, and also The Soul of the White Ape. But really make an effort to read this book, people. You and I, Beena, we can do it as a capital R reading, maybe with Janet at some point. I don't think it's a very long book,
Oh,
but
yes.
maybe, yeah. Anyway, and he really does. He looks at issues that we don't realize bring up implications, and we don't realize we have a problem because we're unaware of it, right? Like with the fishing. See, we don't think it's a problem until we see some alternative, and now, so he brings up issues, he explores, he investigates, he thinks. It's just too fantastic. So what he does with these termite hills, when they start, they build them, and you can see this one's got a cross section in it here. You can see it's kind of got stuff going on inside, right? And there's all this, it's obviously they live inside there. But as it was being built, before it got to this height, he took a steel sheet and he put it in the middle of it, right? Just a steel sheet, so that it's split in half, the termitory. Before it was built up, when it was started. And as the termite, they continued to build it with a steel sheet, right? The steel sheet sticking out the top, right? So imagine that he put it in when the thing was, let's say, this high, right? Or whatever, maybe ground height, and the steel sheet is sticking up this far. When it became completed, both sides matched the other side. Each side matched the other side. Even though there was the steel sheet there, and they're building on one side, but somehow they knew how to match it on the other side, even though they couldn't go there directly. The two halves were acting independently, yet cohesively. How, was his question. How is this possible? How did he even come to think to perform this experiment? It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Why I recommend this. Yeah. So very, very profound. And there's lots that goes on in this book. But, for me, the takeaway after all these years, and I read this book, I know, 40, 50 years ago, somewhere around there, right? 45 years ago. I don't remember how old I was when I read it. I was a teenager, when I read it. 12, 13, somewhere around there. 14, 15, maybe. I don't know. 16 even. I don't remember. Anyway, somewhere in that years. But they were big deals. And what sticks with me is that point of halfway that he couldn't explain. It says to this day, or at least when I read the book at that time, maybe now they figured it out, but I doubt it, because you would have likely heard it. They don't know how the ant queens communicate with the workers. I don't know. Unexplained mysteries of the world. But he said there's something else going on here that we're not aware of. This is able to communicate with all of them across time and space and distance that we don't know. Right? He's making a case for telepathy, I guess. He didn't use the word. And this is in the 20s and 30s in South Africa. I mean, you couldn't have imagined a more conservative place. It may as well have been in the Middle Ages. Remarkable, just remarkable. So this is just different thinking. Be different. Don't be confined. Explore, And then he goes into the psychology and lots of stuff. Marvelous stuff. Well worth reading. I feel like I'm giving a lecture of sorts, but I've been encouraged to share my expertise. From what I gather, many of you come from very, very different worlds. As I understand it, the new nobility, the NN, she says, as I understand it, the NN strive for appropriateness above all. She actually says NN, right? Because later she says new nobility. The NN, she sort of starts this thing of abbreviating, which nobody else does in the delegates, She starts it. The NN strive for appropriateness above all. To that end, we need to understand context. Yeah, we can't have appropriateness without context. And that's what she says. Just explaining that I'm giving you context. I hope my explanations will contribute to the understanding of that for you. This is now mainly towards Cornelius, because he needed context for her comment. But I wish to stay on topic. I'm sure we'll have plenty time later to delve into the dominant culture of my world. Our focus here is on my statement. Ursula expressed where she was at, a way of coagulating her perspective. So she did a little a summary takeaway, yes, to bring things back to where she was at. Yeah. She'd been paying attention to the way the new nobility used various techniques to facilitate comprehension and communication. So this summation takeaway, there's more, but okay, we've got a lot. Let's just tighten it up a little bit so that we have it neat, so that when we continue, we know where we're at, because it's so much already, we don't want to get lost. So they do this, right? And do this every now and then. You do this. Very, very powerful. Ah, yes, Amazon. Hello, Amazon. Thank you. Who's that? Who's that? Oh, I don't see who the driver is. Sorry. Oh, a new driver. I don't know him. I don't know him. All right. Dreadlocks, long dreadlocks. Nice looking. All right. Putting it all together led me to the only choice I had. Change or die. She says this very dramatically. She means it. Change or die. Yeah, the impossible, the truth. Change, die. Not literally, but as a person. If I went back to my world and tried to resume my life there, it would be a slow death of myself. It'd. That's how you would pronounce that. It'd be a slow death of myself. I know I cannot ignore overwhelming facts. It's one of my essential characteristics. I know I cannot ignore overwhelming facts. Now you think, isn't that like duh for everybody? Is it? But yet it is so. Some can ignore overwhelming facts, yes?
Yes.
It's more like deny than ignore, right?
Yes.
Or avoid, avert, run away from. But they try. Maybe they can't actually, but they try. It's one of my essential characteristics. I would not be able to lie to myself to create some elaborate redefinition. Again, look at the sophistication of Ursula. She's not saying I would not be able to lie to myself in order to maintain what I had before, or to re-emerge into my, or to go re-immerse in my previous bubble. No, to create some elaborate redefinition. She knows that if you want to ignore these overwhelming facts, the only way you can do it is, you can't go back and ignore. You would have to create some elaborate redefinition to justify it. Camellius fails at doing so, or is going to fail at doing so. You'll see. I've never had this facility I see so often in others on my world. Yes. I mean, when like a politician has some embarrassing thing that happens to him, a BS politician, and not all politicians are BS, but some, right? What do? They create this elaborate redefinition to make it all seem okay and fine and wonderful. Yes. Or like, you, for instance, just an example that comes to mind now is those evangelistic preachers. They have these huge followings and they live in the big mansion and in the cars and the houses, and then they get caught in adultery and all sorts of stuff, right? Then they go into this huge elaborate spin of redefining themselves, right? You may not be familiar with it, but most listening in America are. Yeah. And then they make it work for him. Oh, I'm a sinner, I'm a that, and they turn a disadvantage into an advantage. It's quite fascinating. Even though they've been exposed to be a massive hypocrite, they now turn it around and, oh, look how wonderful I am, and they have even more followers. And look how honest I am, blah, blah, blah. It's terrible. Elaborate redefinition. I've never had this facility I see so often in others on my world, to simply skip over and not see those facts which do not conform to their self-created and convenient views of the world. In other words, the capacity for self-BS. doesn't have it, but some do. I've never been able to do that. I've always been a super realist. This is Sherlock Holmes's genius. He's a super realist, right? Just to connect it back to that quote. He's very much the realist, right? And his realism is a super realist, right? In this, that he acknowledges that the improbable, however improbable, in other words, the radically improbable, does exist. You're going to not likely to encounter it very often, if at all, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That's why we have a word for it, the improbable. It's improbable, not impossible. Yes, a super realist acknowledges that the improbable and the super improbable does exist, and therefore is prepared to meet them. If you don't acknowledge they exist and you do meet them, you are going to say, but this can't be, and you lump it in with impossible, and you start to ignore it and deny it, and then you get into trouble. Yes, so that quote is coming back here now, right? It's connecting very profoundly, really cool. To be a super realist is to acknowledge that the improbable does exist. To be a super realist is to acknowledge that the impossible can become the possible. Yes, one of the main themes of the story, right, Beena?
Yes.
Super realism. You don't yet know it, Ursula, but there is impossible that's going to become possible for you. Yeah, not just improbable. You aren't only going to meet the improbable already. To her and Camillus, this entire world, and because they have the ability, they have discernment, and they have awareness, they can see just the depth of how much what they are in is improbable. Not just different. Some of the delegates are like, yeah, it's different over here, but they don't quite see the depth of it because they filter it through their lens, and so it becomes just a variation of what they know. Right? They're not seeing it for what it actually is, which is radically different to what they know. It's like when Christine came and heard me say Obama and Reagan and thought I'm talking about politics. This is what she expects to see. This is what she heard. But I wasn't talking about politics. I was talking about psychology. Well, I wasn't even talking about psychology. I was, yes, in there, but I was using them as an exemplification in the real world of somebody actually doing what Ursula was talking about, right? So it was example of something in the story. So I'm using a real world example for a fictional explanation, right? To say, oh, it's not just some, thing that's just fictional made up. No, it actually exists, right? It's real, even though Ursula is fictional and something from my imagination. So I'm saying we must be very careful. And in this context here, Ursula and Camillus can see just exactly how improbable Biella is and the entire world that they are Nobelia. Right? They are acutely aware it is super improbable. But Ursula's super realism forces her to adjust to it as improbable, not impossible. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And anybody watching this and saw me deal with this earlier, right? This is when we list stuff, and when we get listing, when people ask this immediately like this, we listed it just before we came on. And then the next thing now, they're going to ask, can I call you in some form of variation? And the reason they want to call you is because it's a scam. And then they say, I want to give you a code. And then they use your phone as a part of Google Voice. And, it's a complicated scam, but nonetheless, I don't exactly know what they get out of it, but it's a scam. So I'm not being rude here when I say no. If this wasn't a thing I'd recently done, if it was an old item, then I might say, well, we are texting now. It's like, can I call text you? It's like, what did you just do? Isn't that just a text right there? So I'm not being rude here. I'm just do this no so that I can recognize it in my comments in order to get rid of it. But then I did this earlier. I report them as a scam and all this. So I don't have to do it now, but I was just talking, and I can do it without thinking already. You know, I was doing it as a reflex earlier while Beena was talking, just multitasking, you know, and of course I block them also. No, but I wanted to just make the point that I wasn't being rude. So I think I said to the other one, that you know, like, I don't know, I made some other comment there. Yes, love you too, Norma, love you too. So the reason I say no is so that, you see, I can recognize it here. And then I can see when I've said no like that, then I know it was for bogus, and I can delete the chat. So there's always method to madness, yeah, in my case, right? All right, there we go. I mean, I could have just left it for later, but since I wanted to explain about earlier, I've always been a super realist. Yes. Tasks and exercises, wonderful. We haven't really done much. We did a little bit on Monday, but we haven't done much. Will you read that first one, please?
And no, and I think that
We got 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes, so we can read the first one.
It's not about time. I'm just saying that it is a good thing to leave it on, and then go back and do the repeat back.
I know,
and take
I know, but I want to just read at least one, this first one, so that it's like something to think about until tomorrow. You see?
No, so like seriously. Okay.
Or if you don't have the energy for it, no worries. No worries.
No, it's okay. I was just thinking that, okay, that will be good if we will do a takeaway and repeat feedback, and then after that, we'll just start doing anyway.
So hang on. Whoa, what? I'm not quite sure what you were thinking then. So hold on, let me hear your full thought here.
I was saying that, okay, I was thinking that we will do the repeat back or just an abstract takeaway of the whole conversation of today.
Oh, I see. I got you. All right, that's a great idea. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go. I love your idea better. Yes, go ahead.
So then we will just do the
Right.
feedback.
Let me just make a point here. I'm not just doing this to appease Beena. This is me practicing a skill that I feel is very important: the ability to change immediately. I didn't quite. I assumed Beena was saying on time, and that was an inaccurate assumption. So that's why when I said it, I realized, and then I changed, I shifted, and now a plan comes. And it was a better plan, and I changed. I don't have to make a big deal out of it. I just say, okay, let's go with yours. Right? Ability to change without it being a big deal. Very important skill. Anyway, go ahead, Beena. Sorry.
So this whole conversation today, it was way more philosophical than usual, because the whole idea of being aware of what we don't know, it's a very big question, and it is just like hovering over my mind that what is this? Can I say that? Do I have this awareness that what I'm really not aware of? Or am I just living in the moment right now? I'm getting excited about all the awareness I have. But when you say that, okay, to be aware of, and to have this understanding that what I'm not aware of, so awareness and the unawareness, the having an awareness of both awareness and unawareness is very crucial. But it's yes, and it's a very big deal. I can say that very clearly, that I might be not paying attention to the unawareness, because I'm too excited and too consumed by the awareness, whatever limited awareness I have, and it is coming to me. It's not like I have. What is coming to me is so super exciting and thrilling. So I never paid attention to this. I never feel that, okay, I have time for this or have ability to go beyond my awareness. This is something almost like an impossible thing for me. So yes, there is always a room to improve, but there is a lackness in my thoroughness and in my things. I need to pay attention to this. I'm not sure when and how I will be able or to be in this position where I can say that, okay, now I know that, okay, that this is something I'm not aware of, which is, again, it's very crucial to have a complete full picture of yourself, where you stand. We need to be aware of, but I just hope that it will come. It will come. The other thing what you mentioned in this whole conversation today and whole sharing today, not a conversation actually, it was a sharing. So what you shared
A
about
profound sharing, a very beautiful sharing we did.
yeah, about the being aware of the implications of transformation that really overwhelm people and they get scared
Wow,
of.
let's hear more. Let's hear more of that. The implications of transformation. That's the title
Yes.
of what Beena's about to share.
Because some people, some of us are just excited with the newness and they say, okay, yes. And sometimes some of us are really tired of who they are. So it's a just
Hmm.
either or thing,
Hmm.
like, okay,
Hmm.
yes, because I'm tired of or I'm not satisfied with who I am or what I have right now. So whatever is going to come, I'm just jumping on. I'm ready for that. There is one type of people who really get to transform their life. People who are tired and not satisfied with what they have and who they are. They
Yeah.
don't care about what is coming, whatever is going to come. I just want to get rid of the current state. These are okay. This is one type of people. The other ones who are aware of what they really want. So no matter what they have and what it is around them, they will never compromise on that because they know that it's a very clear thought for them that this is what I want because it's a deliberate transformation they choose. And some of us are who have some sort of idea that what is going to happen after I jump out of this comfort zone or I will get into the transformation. They have some abstract idea of it, but not a clarity.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and they are aware of their current state. These are the people who become more aware of what is right now available, but there is more. What actually more is, we don't have any idea. They are more courageous because they have some idea, but not a clarity. There is another type of people who who are in this middle thing that okay,
Or
they
category,
want
maybe not type.
yes in this category that I don't know because if I sound like some superiority paradigm terms I'm using because I don't, it's a lack of vocabulary.
Yeah.
You can say that I will
Oh, it's
improve.
all good.
But right now this is what I have. So
Yeah.
like it was a big discussion about dimensions, levels,
Yeah.
and all these things coming from the superiority. I don't know. So right now, I personally, oh, I just missed my the last point I was saying that. So they okay, it will come. But we all have different type of transformation. Some just choose to transform themselves. They are the desperate one because they don't feel satisfied with what they have and who they are. So they just choose to bargain it with anything, whatever is going to be different than what whoever I am or what I have. They just do that and then they just get the deal out of it without having any idea what is there. But it has to be different than what I have right now. And the other people are some are like they have some sort of abstract idea that what it is, and some are really super intelligent, like chameleons. They know what's involved in it, and they know that okay, what they have right now, they are aware of almost both sides of it. They are the people who get stuck into that because they are aware of what they are, who they are right now, and what they have right now. So it's a kind of a deliberate choice. So they cannot give up easily on that. And because they know that what is outside is going to cost a lot, so they just okay, yeah. So they are people who have awareness, but they just want to stay in the buffer zone or in the
Yeah.
what is it? Twilight zone?
Yeah.
I
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
the
Either way.
buffer zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
some people want to live in this void, in this
Yeah,
buffer
yeah,
zone where they
yeah,
can,
yeah,
okay, because they
yeah.
want to
Because not
feel
knowing helps them to avoid
satisfied.
responsibility. Yeah,
Yes. And they always have this saying, oh, I can just take a one step and I will be there. I'm
yeah,
here, I'm almost there. I can just take one step and I can go there. This is the satisfaction they choose to satisfy themselves. This is the statement that okay, yes, because I'm
yeah,
in a buffer zone. I'm not there,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
there
yeah. It's
either. So okay,
because
I'm in here in
n-
between.
yeah,
Yes.
not trying is guaranteed non-failure.
Yes. Wow.
Keep going,
Wow.
keep going.
Wow. Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's a big comment. Yeah,
this was my repeat back plus takeaway on all this conversation. Of course, it has so much more, but we are running a bit out of time, so we will continue it tomorrow.
yeah. That's fantastic, Beena. That's fantastic. I love this. I love this. Now I see what Beena was doing. Beena was doing a takeaway on what is important to her. And this is what she and I does. It's what's important to us, what matters to us. She was taking the learning that she has and she's going over it again. She's practicing. She's perspective shifting on it from multiple perspectives. She's thinking it through to the end. And we're not done yet. There's a lot more to do this. And we're going to do this. We're going to do much more on it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Norma. I know that you have to go, but still you were here with us, and you are here with us, and you will be here with us because this is how
Yeah.
we feel about you. You're always here. So thank you.
You know, I missed all the comments because
Oh,
I replied to Norma and in my comments it got stuck on not on replying to Norma. So I missed all the comments. Ah,
from
from everybody, Norma and Ramsey. Hello, Ramsey. Hello,
oh,
hello, hello. Oh man, I don't mean to ignore you. Let me go through this and see what I missed here. Dang, 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 dang. I had fingers in my ears. I'm not sure for
what
what, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
for what,
Norma,
Ramsey? I
yeah.
was not about to think. I
Yeah,
had no
you see,
intention.
there's lots of comments that we missed here. What was the point made in reference to energy? This is a good question to ask, Norma. I'm sorry we didn't see this. It's just a technical glitch here. The point was that
Oh,
it's that if we are low in energy, it can make problems seem bigger by contrast. Because when we're low in energy, we shrink emotionally and we shrink psychologically. The problem is the same problem. It wasn't a problem when I had energy because then the little problem was tiny. But now, essentially, when my energy is low, I'm taking an Alice potion and I shrink and I become little tiny Alice. And now suddenly, the mouse, which wasn't an issue, now is this huge monster. Yeah. So this is an important point. Hello, 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 Ramsey. Man, sorry, missed you. Yes, and Norma says, hi, Ramsey.
okay.
Glad to share with you. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Great, great, great,
I
great.
clicked two of them, and then of course my Facebook was not
Yeah,
responding, so
yeah.
I couldn't go back.
Well, what happens is, if you click reply like this, right? If I click reply, it takes me into showing only this. And I replied to Norma's first comment, and so I didn't see any more coming up, and I forgot to go back, right? So I just thought this is Norma's comment, and there's no more coming. My bad. You see, I have to go back and see. All right. So then Norma also said to establish what you know or don't know, to see if we have a similarity of understanding. That is a helpful technique, yes. Because we're not necessarily seeking to have similarity of understanding. We just want to be aware of if we do, to understand why we do and why we don't, and to see if there's value in either one, right? Because there usually is, right? So being aware
Yeah.
is that. Triangle, not truly
So,
pyramid. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I would suggest because that okay, Norma is not here, so we can just
Ah,
go through
ah.
all the.
Yeah, but she watches the replay, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So be good to discuss pyramid energy sometimes. Yes. So Ramsey, for this, I was talking about is a conception of mine. I think of it as like an inverted pyramid of knowledge and information and awareness above our heads, right? Funneling stuff into us. And the more that pyramid fills up, because it's a funnel and stuff is coming in, and is like when you pour stuff in a funnel, right? It doesn't all go in right away. It kind of is a little bit in there. But the more it comes in, the more you become aware that there's extra funnel, and it keeps expanding. So the more we become aware, the more we become aware of how much we are unaware of. Or we could say it another way: the more I know, the more I realize how much I don't know. So the quest to get rid of my ignorance is actually counterproductive, because the less ignorant I become, the more I'm aware of exactly how ignorant I am, and it grows. So it's part of one of the challenges and problems of awareness, is that you are going to feel more unaware. You're going to feel more ignorant unless you find a way to reconcile this. So the quote there is, and I'm typing these quotes as I go along, I'll put them in here. I want to do this more often, right? And the quote is, I may be nothing compared to the universe. I'm trying to type, but I am something compared to nothing. Very, very profound young man quote, right? Very profound quote here. I may be nothing compared to the universe, but I am something compared to nothing. Yeah. And I was emphasizing earlier how we need to maintain this. Yeah. So this is part of what it. Are you saying this is what they believe? I'm not sure, Norma. Sorry, I missed your comment there. I'm not sure what you mean. Which context there? Oh, thanks for explaining energy. My pleasure. You see, Norma's here, Beena. Norma's here. So it's a big deal. It is about relativity. So energy grows us, shrinks us. Yeah. It's like that little potion of Alice's, right? She had two potions, right? The drink me. That's all it said on the bottle. Drink me. The drink me potions. But one is the shrinking potion, one is the enlarging potion. Now, very powerful stuff. Very, very powerful stuff. I'm going to watch Rest tomorrow, says Norma to Ramsey. Yeah. So wonderful. Are you saying this is what they believe? I'm not sure which. When were we talking about beliefs? I try to avoid beliefs just if it's personal beliefs, but maybe it's what the new nobility believe. Yeah. They try to avoid beliefs either. If you've eliminated the impossible and what's ever left is the improbable, it's not a belief. This is just sort of a fact of reality, right? Yeah. So this is, then you when you get to self-evident sensibilities as well, belief doesn't become an issue. We can go beyond belief and live where we try to minimize our beliefs as much as possible. Yeah. It's very interesting. All right. Love you guys, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Yes.
Yes.
Very cool. All right. We're going to end meeting. I'll come right back on Zoom, Beena. Very cool. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. End meeting for all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.